First, there's the profound and utter stillness. You know, it dims when somebody's dying as a result of disease anyway. You can feel it dimming and dimming and dimming, and as we're either counting breaths or paying attention to when the chest is rising and falling, when that stills and when ultimately there's no more of a heartbeat, and while we can't see all the microscopic things that are happening in the cells, it feels like a stillness has descended. And as that stillness descended, it almost also feels like um, injecting water into like a cotton ball or something. So that also expands simultaneously, and the room feels full with stillness in a way. So it feels less like something is gone and more like something has expanded.
Hmm. I'm curious in like the couple days leading up to someone's death, um, what do you notice change if they're coherent enough to see where they're at psychologically and then also physiologically?
Mhm. There isn't a lot of energy left for a lot of communication in the days leading up to death generally.
Mhm.
Because when people are dying as a result of disease, there is like this slowly, gradually pulling away where there's just moments of consciousness at a time, but the rest of the time they are sleeping or unconscious. And when they wake, probably just like checking in to see what's going on, but there isn't much energy left. There's just like a general, people pull away. They get more and more distant. Pupils have a harder time focusing. Speech is significantly slowed, significantly less time for consciousness. Heart rate slows, blood pressure, it has a hard time regulating, actually. Urine output becomes darker, the skin starts to change, extremities get colder, they get like purplish in fairer skinned people and maybe like grayish in darker skinned people. The body, you can tell that thing is starting to pull back somehow before it gets big again and takes up all the space.
Hmm.
In a way, it's the process of dying is, well, it's all just such a mystery. It's also really beautiful. I think in the way that, we honor and revere the utter mystery and miracle that is birth, I think death has a lot of those qualities too, where even though science can pinpoint some things, science can pinpoint conception when these two meet, and they can say, hey, death has occurred because these things happen. All the happenings around it are entirely mysterious. And that to me is like, it's so awe-inspiring, that it can be beautiful too.
Hmm. Is there somebody that comes to mind that you've been present for when they've died that you feel like they've been most aware or conscious while they left?
I can think of one person that was conscious almost up until the end. She had long periods of
Mhm.
sleeping, but getting closer to the end, um, yeah, she wasn't asleep all the time. She was awake for a portion of it and said she wanted to live her death.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I like that because I also too, I feel like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity I don't want to miss
yeah,
if possible.
yeah. Well,
Um,
you're gonna be there for her,
yeah, for
one
sure.
way or
One
another.
way or the other. I'm curious how grief has been a unique teacher for you and in your own both navigating a grief personally, like through Peter, or supporting countless individuals as they navigate the grief of loved ones. Um, what do you think grief has the unique capacity to reveal to us as a teacher?
Grief is such a motherfucker, but as I was saying earlier, one that I think just really allows us to like crack open, and it's painful and it's difficult. And sometimes in the depths of it, you think there will never be anything else. You know, how can I ever carry on in the face of what has happened in my life? How do I ever reconcile this thing? But we do. We do. We are resilient. We find ways. We keep finding a way to like carry on with our lives, and somehow the thing that felt so big and like we would never and ever overcome it is integrated into how we live every single day. One of the things that I love about grief is that it cracks us. It allows us to kind of throw all the other things away if we want and rebuild from it if we'd like. I am kind of smiling as I'm saying this because I'm thinking about all the opportunities that we have to do that while we're living. And there aren't that many when we get to say, you know what? Not that anymore. We're this today. And grief is one of the places where we can. You know, I am in the midst of some grief now. I have been for a while, and I've cut a bunch off my hair. I cut like 2 feet off my hair. I haven't painted my nails in like 10 months or so, but they used to be did all the time, and now they're just not. Um, I think grief allows us to shift our belief system and our orientation toward the world because loss does that. And now, as we try to find ways to reconcile the loss, we create a belief system that adheres to who we are in anew. Grief will teach you who you are. It'll teach you what you're made of. It'll teach you what you value through loss. You know, once the thing is gone, then it's like, oh shit, that did matter somehow. And sometimes the thing that mattered is not like the love of the person or of the thing, but rather what was created as a result of that.
Mm.
I get frustrated sometimes when people say that grief is the price that we pay for love.
Mm.
Because first of all, why does love have to cost anything? The shit is free and abundant,
Yeah.
okay? And next, you know, grief isn't always only happening as a result of love. Like sometimes we grieve things that we didn't love also. People have to grieve difficult relationships. They grieve abusive parents. They grieve things that had value in some way, but that value isn't always a positive value. Yeah. So I would love it if we would just think of grief a lot more expansively other than just love with no place to go.
Mm.
Because it's also, it's also anger. It's also, you did this to me. It's also trauma. It's so many things.
What do you think is the most effective way to be with somebody in their grief and be with your own? Outside of letting it run its natural course of time, like what have you seen really is the most supportive?
To support other people through
Yeah.
grief, just being present,
Mm.
showing up for it, trying not to insert ourselves in the process. I think many people show up thinking that they want to make it better somehow, but sometimes all of our plans and ideas about making it better sometimes make it worse.
Mhm.
I think it's important that we also acknowledge our grief ourselves to avoid filling up the space between me and another person with my experience and just let them have theirs. Not try to like rush their process along or slow it down or change it or shift it in any way.
Mhm.
Because somebody isn't crying doesn't mean they're not grieving, you know? Just because somebody isn't showing up in their grief the way that we think that they should doesn't mean that their process is any less valid. Yeah. I wish that we would just let people be.
Mhm.
I mean, period, but particularly in their grief.
Yeah.